Welcome back to Tales Arcane and to another episode, to I think the 6th episode now of Heroes of the Highlands, Fate of the Fallen. And things are looking pretty grim at this point. The battle is ongoing in Castle Dunalkin. Our heroes are battling to take down a Cambion and her group of bloodthirsty bandits. And our druid Boglach is on death saving throws. But before we begin, if you want to check out any more of the art created by our wonderful artist Jessica Bowen, you can head to art.of.job, her Instagram profile down below this page. You can go over to Nerdius Maximus's Patreon. He does all the wonderful music that you hear throughout the show. They're both fantastic creatives and they help to bring this show alive and make it a little bit more immersive. So thank you to them. We'll do a quick recap and then we will dive in. The question is where you're walking to. So right now you're at Erlenfall Cave.
The castle! The castle!
There's bandits near the castle.
The one that's got their back to me, I am going to run and unsheath the compelling argument, and I want to try and just stab them in the back.
That thing has wings. Tieflings don't have wings. That's a Cambion. And Boglach, you need to roll your first death saving throw. And on that note, we will end tonight's episode. Thank you all. So, as we begin tonight's session, we are still in turn order, and we are on the turn of Boglach. Boglach, you have gone down under this blast of flame from the Cambion leader, Jaina. I think you overheard her name being referred to. As you're lying there on the ground, the darkness pressing in against your vision, you can hear muffled sounds distantly, the screams and shouts of battle still echoing in your ears as you drift down into the warm darkness. Can you give me a death saving throw? 11. By 1, you scrape over the line for one successful death saving throw. You're not deep down in the darkness yet. You're still hanging in that limbo. At that moment, in the gloom of that space where Boglach is right now, what images would just appear before Boglach's mind?
I think at this stage, like distant shadows of figures that maybe vaguely resemble outlines of people Boglach has known. Some beckoning him to join towards a proverbial light or, natural green glow of something, and the other sort of clinging onto this material plane.
As you are lying there in this, almost floating in a black ocean, and getting this glimmer of almost like the after image of lights, these figures out in the darkness, some beckoning towards you, some familiar, some less so, you become aware of, you blink and you can see a thin golden line through the darkness, like a thin strand of golden thread stretching kind of around behind you. You can't see where it leads, but your eyes follow this golden thread, and you can, if you wish to, turn around and look where it leads, or you can just stay where you are in the darkness.
I think I would definitely turn around and see where it leads.
You begin to turn in the darkness, your eyes following that golden thread around. As you do, we back into the firelit courtyards of Castle Dunalkin. Next up is Zell. You are up in the tree, you've seen your companion go down, you've seen Glut storm through a wooden barricade, sending splinters of wood in every direction, now heading into the eastern courtyard. What do you want to do? How high are you? Right now, you're a bit over. You're about 50 feet off the ground.
Okay, so can't just jump down then.
You could try, but you might take some damage.
Okay, fuck it. Yeah, Zell's gonna jump.
Zell's gonna jump 50 feet.
This is a terrible idea.
Absolutely do it.
She's gonna jump. She's very impulsive. She's seen Boglach go down. She wants to get to him. She's gonna jump.
Okay.
Maybe instead of jumping though, what she's gonna do is she's gonna hop kind of onto the wall and hang, and then drop the rest of the way. So that's gonna take not too much, but a little bit off it. But yeah, she's gonna drop down to try and get down there to help Boglach.
Absolutely, you drop down. So I'd say if you're going to lower yourself and drop and hang, give me. Can you roll just 4d6.
Okay. Oh god. 9.
9. You drop from the wall. It is a long drop. There's really not much you can do to limit your impact. You hit the ground, you take 9 bludgeoning damage as you hit into the earth. Not too bad though, could have been worse. Your reflexes kick in and you're able to at least not, go face down on the ground. Most of that is absorbed by your legs and you're able to hit the ground, almost superhero landing, scrabble up to your feet having taken a bruising. What do you want to do?
Am I still able to dash? Or has that been my action?
So I'd say at this point, you could maybe move another, I'd say maybe half your distance from here.
Okay.
So you can maybe move another 15 feet, or you could take an action if you wanted to.
Okay, at this point she's just going to move. So I'll move her. Oh, I haven't had to move at all this fight. I forgot how to do it.
You've just been perched up in the tree the whole time.
Perched. There we go. Yeah, because she's trying to get over to Boglach to help him.
You sort of hit the ground, stagger up, pain throbbing through your whole body from that impact, but your focus is entirely on your friend on the farther side as you begin to move. At that moment, we go over to the Cambion. The Cambion is going to fly up and over the wall. It looks down towards you, Zell, as you begin to move. A slight smile quirks her mouth as she sort of looks at you, looks to Boglach, and almost sort of incomprehension, like, why are you doing this? Why do you care? And then she twists her hands in the air and sends off another jet of flame towards you. That is going to be a 17 to hit.
Will hit.
That's going to be 12 points of fire damage as a blast of flame ripples down towards you. You feel that heat burning across you. It catches some of the dry grass around you, flickers over one of the nearby tents, but you're still moving. The Cambion is then going to, I think, being aware of Glut's presence, going to stay kind of above the wall, well out of Glut's range, but keeping an eye on now both Glut and Zell from this vantage point. Ending her turn, we go over to Glut.
So how high up in the air is she?
She's 50 feet up.
She's 50 feet up. And this wall is... How crumbly is it?
It's pretty crumbly, but it's still standing. It rises to about 50 feet. She's almost floating sort of parallel with the top of the wall.
I am... Let me just check the range of my... Okay, yeah, in that case, can I try and, climb partially up this wall? And then, so would that be half movement for me climbing?
Absolutely.
So I can move, just under 20 feet above this wall. In that case, she's then in range of my throwing axes. So I know I take a little bit of bludgeon damage, but could I climb up the wall, jump off, and as I jump off the wall to head towards the ground, I can, throw both of my hand axes at her?
You can. I would say if you're going to throw them from that mid-air vantage point, it would be a disadvantage. Alternatively, you can hold onto the wall and throw one regular.
I'll throw one regular because I'm aiming to try and clip her wing.
Absolutely.
So I'll throw one up.
Clinging on one hand onto the sort of holding onto the ivy, fling it.
And that's an 18.
That will just miss.
Okay. In that case, I will end my turn.
That axe skitters away, falls down. I say the axe has landed. You're down below you. There seems to be a small sheep pen of probably stolen sheep that have been corralled into this small rickety pen at the base of the wall, and the axe has fallen at the far side of that pen. Ending your turn there, we go over to Boglach. Can you give me another death saving throw?
10.
On a 10, you have passed. You take a deep breath, and your eyes follow that golden thread around, and you see that it stretches off into the inky blackness, into the void, emitting light that seems to go nowhere into the darkness, and it runs towards, in the midst of the gloom, floating there, a large old wooden spindle. You've seen these being spun back in your village across, quite a common sight, although this one looks quite old and antiquated. As the wheel turns, you can see standing around it, although they're quite indistinct in the gloom, 3 figures, long dark robes, standing around, kind of hunched figures around this the source of this golden thread. You're looking towards them as they turn the wheel, and the thread twitches and bends towards them. You have passed another death saving throw, and at this point we return to the combat. We have Zell.
So Zell is terrified of like fire and all that kind of. So she kind of like, when the fire came at her, she completely screamed and almost froze in place. But as it kind of dissipates, she sees Boglach and she remembers that she wants to try and get to him, and she's gonna run. Well, she's not gonna run. She's not gonna dash. He is 30 feet away, so he's my full movement away. Oh,
You can make it.
I know. Sorry, I'm trying to. There we go. So she's gonna run over and cast Cure Wounds, touching his chest. 2nd level. All she's got. And that will be 9 points of healing.
You reach down, Boglach, in the darkness. You look towards these 3 figures. One of them glances up towards you, twitch of the head, and you can see, illuminated by a little bit of that light coming off the golden thread on the spindle, the face of an ancient woman, deeply wrinkled and lined, long silver hair spilling down out of the folds of the dark hood as these 3 aged crones look up towards you, their hands moving like twisted spiders over the golden thread. You can't tell any expression or emotion from their faces. They are inscrutable. Their eyes are glossy black pits, no white, just dark voids in their faces as you kind of meet their gaze in the gloom. One of them raises a hand towards you and begins to reach out very slowly, as if reaching towards you, beckoning you closer through the gloom. And then her hand moves down and she hooks up that golden thread, and just for a moment you get this sense that all of you is in the palm of her hand as she begins to run the thread between her fingers, your whole life stretching away. In a moment she could snap it. And yet, at that moment, you feel this warm, glowing life pouring back into your burning pain chest. Your eyes open, and Zell is crouched down over you, the light of her spell still cast up on her face as you take a deep breath back in the world of the living. Zell, anything else you want to do in your turn?
Zell's just crying.
Zell,
She's just like,
you see...
oh my god, it worked! Thank goodness it worked! Thank goodness it worked!
Your friend has stabilized, and at that moment you hear a voice going, "Oh, this is all so very charming. You people never know when to give up." And you look up as another blast of flame lances down from the top of the wall, this time aimed directly at you, Zell. I'm afraid that's a crit.
Oh no.
That's my 2nd crit of the game, though. That's fine.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, good for you.
And you take 22 points of fire damage as Boglach, rather, you open your eyes, you see Zell smiling, crying, that moment of relief, and then you just see this blistering bolt of flame exactly as it came down for you, this time striking into her, sending sparks spraying in every direction. The Cambion is going to end her turn flying a little bit further away. She's aware that Boglach is now on the wall, that Glut is now on the wall and kind of beginning to head in her direction. So she is going to take another, I'd say, she's going to take her full 30 feet up into the air. So she's now 80 feet in the air, 30 feet above the edge of the wall, and that will be the end of her turn. We go to the top with Glut.
So she's 30 feet in the air.
So she's 30 feet above the wall, so 80 feet in the air.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so because I've not dealt damage or been dealt damage, my rage ends. So in this moment of clarity, Glut is just really fucking pissed off because she can't see that Boglach is alive yet. So I'm going to enter Rage again, and as entering Rage, I can move half my speed as my bonus action. So as part of the same bonus action, and with the movement from difficult terrain, I'll have just enough movement to get to the top of the wall as I re-rage. So I'll get up to the top of the wall, and then I'm going to toss 2 javelins at the campion.
Hell yeah. Do your javelins have names?
My javelins actually do not have names. Everything else has... Oh, no, they do. They're the foregone conclusion. So I'm going to throw 2 of the foregone conclusions at her. So the first one is a 19.
That hits.
And the second... fucking drop my dice. Oh, hell yeah, crit!
Hell yeah.
My second crit of the night. So... That is... 4 plus 6, 10 plus 2, 12. 12 plus 14 is 26. 26 damage.
Beautiful. Those 2 javelins just fly out, lit by the flames below, and strike her almost... If she was like with a wall behind her, she would be pinned to that wall. It's one into one shoulder, one into the other. She writhes in the air, blood spraying down from these wounds, her eyes narrowing towards you, these 2 points of baleful yellow light focusing in on you.
I'm just too angry to even think of anything to say, so I'm just going to keep screaming. And with that, I end my turn.
Over to Boglach. You're prone at the moment, but you're alive.
I will use half my movements to stand up. How's Zell looking?
Not great.
Not great.
She's on the same amount of HP as you, metagaming.
Okay. How far away is the Cambion from Boglach?
Roughly 80 feet from you.
80 feet. Boglach's going to take a risk and imagine that the Cambion's going to focus in a little bit and gloat, seeing as they are closest to them. And will cast Acid Arrow, which has 90-foot range, at the Cambion. I believe with the last 4th level slot, I've only used 1 4th level slot this combat, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Beat metal, and then I went down very quickly after. So yeah, I'll do that and fire it towards the Cambion.
Fire in.
That's going to be... nat 20.
Oh! The crits are coming in there!
Yes!
My brain couldn't catch up for a second there when I saw it because I'm rolling on this really terrible... Well, not terrible, it's a very good dice rolling website, but it's not got the pizzazz of other stuff. But yeah, nat 20. Plus... I don't know if that counts for anything, but plus 8, so 28 to hit. How do crits work with spells? I don't think I've ever critted on a spell before.
So do you have damage die for the spell?
Yep, so it's 6d4.
Yeah, so you're just doubling your damage die.
So 12d4.
12d4 or roll 6d4 and double that?
If you've got D&D Beyond out there in front of you, I would do the full roll, the 12.
Yeah, no problem at all.
That's a hell of a crit.
12d4.
6d4. So 12d4.
Plus whatever the damage is.
So
additional.
First 6, because it goes up to 6 on this thing. So 6d4 is 15. Next one's 16. So 15 and 16.
31.
So 31. So
31.
Leave acid damage. So I'll draw back my hands almost in that kind of nothing. There's no sound around Boglach because they've come out of that dark place and just straight back into the action. And then just looking at Zell, kind of turn around, draw this massive gleaming green bow, and fire this green arrow towards target.
Hell yeah. Oh my god,
Which will then do damage at the end of their next turn as well, when it comes to it.
You fire that off. You noticed when those javelins hit the Cambion, they didn't do as much damage as perhaps they should have done. They struck in, she bled, but they weren't on a human, that should have like torn her shoulders apart. They didn't. When you fire off this magical attack, it does full damage against her. She writhes.
I will say, if that's okay, is I just read the spell there on D&D Beyond. So it's 4d4 initially on hit, and then 2d4 at the end of their next turn, it says. So it says 6d4. I don't know if that changes things.
Just remind me the type of damage?
So it is acid damage. So on a hit, the target takes 4d4 acid damage immediately and 2d4 acid damage at the end of its next turn. So I don't know if then the crit would be 8d4 instead. Not too sure. I just saw 6d4.
Oh yeah, no. So I think the damage taken later, I'd say, would be regular, and then the damage, the initial damage, is like the crit damage.
In that case, I'll re-roll it then with just 8d4, which is 24 instead. And then
beautiful.
At the end of their next turn, they'll take 2d4 acid damage.
Nice.
Just so it's all fair and up front.
Yeah, absolutely. Sweet. In that case, you have dealt that damage, a terrific amount of acid damage burning across the Cambion's skin. Absolutely no resistances to this kind of damage as her wings bubble and hiss, shredding and tearing apart the thin membranes connecting the bones of the wings, burning apart under the acid. She lets out a high-pitched scream, looks down at you, eyes narrow as she focuses in once again towards you, Boglach, and goes, "You should have stayed dead." At that moment, next up is Zell.
Zell at this point she's terrified of the fire, but she's just gonna send 2 arrows at the Cambion, since she's still kind of trapped. You know, I'm doing my part. That bit, not very well. First one's 10 to hit, and second one is 12. So
both miss, I'm afraid.
She's obviously so scared of the fire. She's not doing very well.
Yeah, this is kind of, you're essentially being attacked by trauma here. Like, this is not a pleasant experience for Zell at this point. At this point, the Cambion is going to... Glut, you're standing on the wall, right?
On the wall.
Oh, it's tricky because you're not dealing magical damage right now, but you do have a magical sword. She is going to look down towards Zell and look through the flames burning around you, look at the bow in your hands, and you hear her voice again, and this time she just says, "Flee." Can you give me a saving throw that is going to be, let me just check. That's a wisdom saving throw.
Okay. Is this a charm? Because she does have advantage against
this is not charmed. You're being hit with a command spell.
Okay, 8.
The flames are writhing around you from the burning tents, from the campfire. You think of your mother and fear fills you. On your next turn, the only thing you can do is run away.
Okay.
As that command echoes around your head. She's going to stay where she is. She's about 30 feet above the wall, pretty comfortable. And ending her turn there, we go over to Glut. Oh, Boglach?
It's just the damage at the end of her turn.
Oh, yes. How much is that?
I also figured it out. It was 6d4 because I cast it at 4 level. So it should be 35 points of damage that they took off the crit. And then they'll take a further 2d4 just now. Sorry for that. I finally
no problem at all.
A bit like an Eagle's Splendor or whatever it was. I believe that's just 3 more acid damage from the residual, the spell kind of wearing off.
Absolutely. A little bit more acid damage going to singe around. A last strand of red leathery skin that was connecting to bones of the wing just snaps, and one of the wings sort of shudders slightly as if she's beginning to kind of find it a little bit harder to stay up in the air. In that case, Glut, what are you doing?
I'm chucking 2 more javelins at her.
How many javelins do you have?
I've thrown two. I've thrown two. I have three more.
Excellent. Good to know.
So first one is a 25.
Hits. AC is 19.
Okay, the second one definitely misses. So that is 12 piercing damage.
Sweet. Once again, reduced slightly because she does a resistance to non-magical attacks. This second blow strikes into her, another spray of blood. She's now standing alone and her health is beginning to tick down. You can see the absolute confidence, almost boredom she had at the start is beginning to be replaced by interest in what is going on here and who you guys are. Anything else you want to do, Gloot?
Yeah, I'd like to move just directly below her.
Right, you are directly below her on the wall. Boglach, what do you want to do?
I think I'm just going to shoot another acid arrow towards them. This time at 3rd level.
Okay.
So it's +8. 15.
This is on the AC 19.
In that case, that was a leveled spell, so I can't do bonus actiony stuff. I don't think I have any healing potions. Do I get... I guess it's not happened yet, Zell running away or anything. I think that's me. I think I'm just going to... Yeah, I'm maybe going to cycle around the wall so I can still probably see the Cambion flying up in the air, but I sort of now reposition myself so that there's a little bit between myself and them. Still in the fight, but cautious of how low my figure is at the moment.
That's good. In that case, at the moment, Zell, it is your turn, and so you need to move as far away as you can away from the Cambion.
Okay. So she can just run out the main gate, right? That's here. So she'll hop on over off screen, I suppose.
And right now, it's you're not even really thinking too clearly of why you're doing it. It's just this overwhelming, I need to go.
Urge to run. So I was actually going to say, is there any water nearby?
Not that you found around the space so far. There might be further in, but not visible.
Okay, yeah, no, she's just going to run then.
You sprint away, ending your turn as you run back out through the gates. We go over to the Cambion. The Cambion, seeing Gloot advancing to directly underneath her, is going to drop one of these blitzing fire rays down on top of you. That's probably going to miss, though. This flame races down, and you're able to just sidestep it. It kind of crashes into the rock in front of you, dislodging some pebbles down the side. But she is going to reach up and pull down this long, twisted black metal spear from her shoulder, level up towards you, ending her turn. Over to Gloot.
She's still 30 feet above me?
Yes, she is.
I'm going to throw my final javelin, and I'll throw my second hand axe as well. So for the javelin, that is 22, and for the hand axe, that is a dirty 20.
And both hit.
So that is 6 plus 4, 10. That is 24 24 slashing and piercing damage.
Beautiful. She takes these two blows, staggers in the air, adjusts her grip. This kind of hot, stinging blood is dripping down from her, almost like a burning rain dripping down onto your face as you look up at the Cambion above you, lit by the flames that are now spreading from the tents to the barricades down below. Anything else you want to do in your turn?
I will end my turn there.
Boglach, what do you want to do?
I think Boglach's going to think back to how just that image of the golden thread's haunting in a way, how close he was maybe to meeting his end, and is just going to want to take this thing down as soon as possible and just fire another acid arrow. It's going to be... Oh, that's better. Quick maths. 24 to hit.
That absolutely hits.
Amazing. That's just going to be at 3rd level. So it's going to be initially 5d4.
5d4. Oof.
15 acid damage.
15 acid damage. That jet of luminous green acid streaks up from your hand. She is focusing on Glute at the moment as that damage is taken. She reels slightly. You notice every time you're hitting her, she's kind of... The wings are becoming more and more disintegrated. She's beginning to get a little bit lower in the air, as if the damage is beginning to kind of remove her capacity to stay hovering as she is at the moment. Anything else you want to do?
Nope. Just back against the wall. Glad to get a hit in.
Zell, you take a deep breath. You've completed the order given to you. You're no longer under its effect.
Oh, perfect. Okay, well, in that case, she's gonna realize how badly burned she is, and how bad she is, and she's gonna cast Cure Wounds on herself to try and get back up a bit so she can come back and join the fight. So that is 13 points of healing damage, healing for me. And then she's gonna turn around and kind of come back, but kind of be super wary and about everything, considering the trauma.
You
Let me try and
walk
get
back
myself
in.
back on screen. I kind of took myself off screen, and now I can't find my...
Don't worry, I'll get you back on.
Thank you.
You step back
Perfect.
through the gate. You, as
What's
that
on
command...
fire?
Right now, the 2 tents nearest you are on fire. The palisade is on fire as well, the spiked wooden palisade. Flames are spreading around this courtyard. Anything that isn't stone or wet vegetation is starting to burn, and there is no part of you that wants to walk back into this firestorm that is willing to engulf the inner courtyard. Although it's not necessarily going to deal you damage right away, just the flames fill you with fear, and yet you walk through that gate back into the fray.
Yeah, I feel like she's gonna see the flames and like turn around and start skirting around the wall on the outside instead, like almost like going up to where Boglach is, not
Nice.
really knowing that he's over there. So I will have her move. Kind of like up here. Just trying to see what 30 feet is. Yeah, so she's kind of coming around that other side away from the flames. And that's me, I'll end my turn.
Next up, the Cambion. Cambion isn't really aware that you've come back into the fray. Zell, Boglach, you've been throwing a lot of acid arrows up at the Cambion. The Cambion is going to, seeing now that Glute seems to be essentially without ranged weapons, and that your attacks predominantly seem to be range focused, she is going to fly her full movement down to you and land directly in front of you, Boglach, dropping onto the ground sort of lithe and cat-like, just her wings shaking behind her, but still enough to keep her airborne. As she drops down in front of you, this long, glinting, twisted black metal spear in her hand, she looks at you and goes, "We could have done this so much easier. You could have just died, and then maybe your friends would have learned their lesson and run away. And yet here you are." And she lunges forward with the spear for 17.
Oh, hit.
That is going to be 10 points of piercing damage as this long black spear lances into your side. As you take... Are you back down? You drop...
9 HP.
Oh, is it the 9 restored? You drop to the ground, the Cambion looming over you, spear in hand, and you can tell what she's going to do on her next turn. We go back to Glute up on the wall.
Finally seeing the Cambion land, so that's a 15-foot gap. Glute wants to run northward to this T-junction, then run along the wall this way, and then jump off the wall and try and land on the Cambion with like their sword out, going for like a big plunging attack.
You run and you leap out. that's all within ranges that you can jump. It is a 50-foot drop, so you'll take damage as you go down. Can you roll me 5 d6?
I can indeed. Being raging, I would still have resistance to fall damage as well, wouldn't I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so that's 3, 6, 8, 9, plus. That is 15, half to 7 bludgeoning damage.
You leap down. You take that bludgeoning damage just as you crash into the back of the Cambion. You're on the ground, like kind of partially on top of the Cambion, sword in hand.
So would I be able to make 2 attacks still?
I'd say with that jump targeting the Cambion, that would be I'd say that would use up a bit of your time during this to like get that jump. So I mean, you could probably make 1 attack at this point.
Okay, but I will still make a reckless attack because I'm using my swords, and that is a 19.
That hits on the money.
So a d10 plus 7, max damage, 17 slashing damage.
17 slashing damage. Again, this one is not reduced because this counts as a magical weapon. You deal full damage to the Cambion. She was completely focused in on the druid directly in front of her. Boglach drops to the ground, and then just this small figure, massively oversized sword in hand, leaps through the burning air behind her, crashes into her back, and the blade comes tearing down. Anything else you want to do, Glut?
Can I try and just do my best to position myself between Boglach and the Cambion? I know Glut's not a tall figure, but they just want to try and like position themselves so they're standing over Boglach's body and just channeling that like bear animal that she loves so much, just gonna like raise her hands above her head, like blood covering her, like cuts and scratch over, and just roar a roar of defiance in her face.
You channel the spirit of a furious bear protecting her cubs, standing over the fallen form of your comrade Boglach, standing between Boglach and the Cambion. At that moment, we go to Boglach. Can you give me a death saving throw?
Of course.
6. You are back in that darkened space, but this time you look at that golden thread, you follow it round, you can see the thread running towards the 3 crones in the darkness, spinning that thread again. And as you look, you can see one of the crones reaches up a hand, and you can see her nail is incredibly long and sharp, and she begins to move her nails down towards the thread, as if ready to sever the thread of your story and your life as you've spun it to this point. We leap back into the battle as Zell, you sprint back around. You can see through the gap in the wall this tableau playing out, framed with the flames behind them, the shadowy figures of the Cambion, tattered wings spread behind her, spear raised, the small figure of Glut, blade in hand, standing between the Cambion and Boglach. What do you want to do?
So Zell's she's gonna kind of come round this corner, and she's gonna run over to Boglach, kind of skidding on the ground again as she gets close to him, and again put her hand on his shoulder this time and cast Cure Wounds. I think it's my last time that I can cast it. Oh no. Yeah.
Once again, as the crone's fingers glint with the light of the thread, her nail like a long serrated blade ready to reach down and saw through the thread, light spills back in, pain and light engulfs you as you return to the world of the living. Once again, almost a sort of deja vu moment as you look up and see not just Zell leaning over you, but now Glut with her back to you, facing off against the Cambion as you return. Zell, anything else you want to do?
Just 16 points of healing.
Would I also, since this is my second time doing saving throws, take a level of exhaustion?
Yes, at this point, a level of exhaustion.
Yeah, Boglach's just so you with as true thankfulness, but also kind of still fear lingering there from what they've seen.
In that case, we go over to Zell. We go over to the Cambion. The Cambion is going to bring the spear crashing down towards Glut. That'll be an 18 to hit.
That's
That is going to be 8, but reduced to 4 as the spear lances down. As it hits, can you give me a charisma saving throw?
That is a 12.
A 12. You feel the spear hit, and your rage just pushes past that. The pain filters into your system a little bit, and then you shove it aside. And then you hear whispers in your ears, and it's the sweetest music you've ever heard. And this warmth begins to spread out from the point where the spear stabbed into your body. It's the perfect, comfortable warmth of like a hot bath after a long day, and you can feel how tired you are as that warmth spreads throughout your body. You just want to relax. The feeling that begins to fill you is it's a positive feeling, but it's becoming almost like a warm, fuzzy fog between you and what you want to do, and you're going to have disadvantage on your next attack against...
Is this a charm effect?
It's not a charm effect, it's essentially a sort of arcane curse effect that's coming through the spear. So on your next turn, it will potentially be thrown off on your next turn, but for now, you'll have disadvantage on attacks. The Cambian's turn ends there, and we go to Glute.
So I'm feeling this like fuzziness. I feel slightly clouded, but I then look down and see, Boglach like basically almost vomiting blood, exhaustion, and the rage takes over. So I'm going to recklessly attack, so that'll neutralize the disadvantage. Let me roll straight rolls. So I'll roll both my attacks. The first one's an 18. The second one is a 24.
24 hits.
So that is 9 plus 7. That is 16 slashing damage.
Your blade lashes up, and there's this smile beginning to spread across the Cambian's face as she takes this. I've got this. She's under the influence now. I can almost look past her towards Glute, and then that blade just lashes in. She staggers back. She is in no fit shape. Blood is like spraying down from that wound, and you have just taken one of her wings off. You look down and you see the tattered mass of bone and blood on the ground. She reaches up almost reflexively towards her back and realizes it's gone. Her hand comes away covered in smoking blood. Anything else you want to do?
I smile. I just give her a big toothy blood smeared grin.
As you do that, can you give me a charisma saving throw again?
That one is a 14.
On a 14, you are close to throwing it off, not quite. You are very close to throwing that off. That fuzzy golden feeling still fills you as we go over to...
Okay, with that in my turn.
Boglach, you're up. Prone at the moment, of course.
Sorry?
You're prone at the moment, of course.
Yeah. I'm just trying to... looking at the scene, you saying that... So, Zell's behind me, I'm there, and Glute's in front of me facing off against the Cambian, or is the Cambian... It's just to understand there's something I want to cast, but it kind of affects things in a 5-foot radius around where it hits. So I want to make sure it doesn't hit Glute.
Right now, essentially, Glute is almost in your space. You're both 5 feet away from the Cambian. The Cambian is directly looming over you, and Glute is standing there. She's directly in between.
If I were able then to cast Call Lightning, would I be able to position it in such a way that when the bolt comes down, it says each creature within 5 feet of that point must make a dexterity saving throw? Could that just be the Cambian if I position it in such a way?
Well, if you landed the lightning doesn't actually have to hit the creature, or to just hit a point. And any creature within 5 feet of that point.
It says when you cast a spell, choose a point you can see under the cloud. A bolt of lightning flashes down from the cloud to that point, each creature within 5 feet of that point. It was kind of like there's a point, and then within that point, I believe.
In that case, you can just drop the lightning essentially right behind her where her fallen wing is, and that will hit her, but not any of you guys.
I think in that sense then, Boglach's going to push himself up to his knees, and like Zell has done this combat, like Glute has done this combat, streak out this guttural, scream of just anger and fear and, relation at having come back, and a sort of storm cloud's going to gather above, and a lightning bolt's going to strike, big flash, and hopefully hit the Cambion.
Okay.
Dexterity saving throw, DC 16.
She has a plus. Let me just check her plus. Plus 4 on dex, so she's pretty solid, but on a 7, that is not going to make it.
In that case, it is 3d10 lightning damage, which will be 21 lightning damage.
How do you want to do that?
I think, just like Boglach's just gonna. I don't know what the weather's like at the moment where we are.
Heavily overcast. Dark
Heavily
clouds.
overcast. I think Boglach's just gonna like stare up at that sky and just think, like, conjure this picture perfect sort of mini bursting swirl of stormy clouds just above the Cambion, and then almost again like pushing in the heated metal, or like firing that acid arrow, just like almost drag down and slam down this lightning bolt straight into the vicinity, if we're going by the spell written, straight onto the Cambion. And just
You've recovered about 6 seconds ago. You stagger back into life. You watched this ancient crone in the darkness of a world beyond death reach out to cut the thread of your life for the second time during this combat. For the second time you return to the world surrounded by flame and pain and blood, but surrounded by your friends. You reach up, you see that swirling vortex of clouds form overhead, and you draw that lightning down. You can almost feel it. It's as if as you bring your hand down, it's that you can feel something tugging at your hand, as if you are physically dragging that lightning down. There is a flash, blinding white light illuminates the space, drowning out everything else in just shades of black and white. There is a crash of lightning followed by a thunderous roar in the heavens above. The Cambion crumbles into dust, lightning flickering over her body as she dissolves into nothing.
Black goes.
Combat for so long that I forgot what it's like to be out of combat.
Yeah, I think Boglach just like collapses onto his side. And,
Gloat jumps on top of them and just starts just like crying into their chest, just like wailing, just like childish sobs. Like as the rage finally leaves her, she's just left with the cold realization is how close she was to losing one of like the only friends she's ever had.
I think Boglach's sort of exhausted, like arms almost flayed out, sort of like kind of with a little bit of effort, like pat you on the back as you like do that. But it's just like face back, all sorts over their face and armor, and just like staring up into the sky, like trying to catch their breath.
Del just kind of like sits down and hugs her own knees and is just like quietly weeping into her own knees.
Gloat reaches over and grabs her by the scruff of the neck and pulls her in for like a big group hug.
At the group hug, that's when she'll join Gloat in the kind of wailing, almost like because of the fire and everything, because of the she's not really in a good place. But we can all take a turn to cry.
Gloat needs to let that out after that one.
Hopefully for around an hour so that we can short rest.
I cry for a short rest.
I cry for 8 hours straight.
The space around you is just blood and gore and dismembered limbs, burning tents. The place is just carnage, and you're just holding each other, crying in the gloom. But you're all alive.
After a few minutes, Gloat's going to get up and just, again, for the second time that night, just, wipe the tears from their eyes. Of the Cambion, is there anything left of the remains?
There is still the severed wing.
See the wings? Do they have like little like tips of bone at the end of them or anything like that? Like,
Yeah, they have little kind of bone spurs that jut out.
I'm gonna cut off a bit of that and put that in my sack that is currently filled with teeth. So a little the tip of that bone, so it still adds to that little jingle of the ever increasing bag. How many of my javelins am I able to recover? I have thrown all 5 of them.
You're definitely going to be able to recover, I'd say, at least 2 of them from the surrounding area, and then give me a D4.
Okay, a D4. 4.
4. I say with that, you spend a little bit of time going around, you can recover all of them.
And in my 2 hand axes as well. I did throw both of them.
You knew exactly where one of them went. If you're willing, if you're willing to take a little bit of time to hunt around, you can probably find the other one on the other side in the gloom. But give me an investigation check as you start looking around in the forest there on the outside of the wall.
That is only a 5.
I'm afraid you cannot find the other hand axe. It's lost to the world.
Okay. Good thing Glut isn't incredibly sentimental with axes, so that's fine.
As Glut is looking around, Zelle's going to get up and dust herself off, kind of remembering that the Cambion came from that, from what she saw when she was up in the tree, and she's going to be like, I think, like there's definitely something in there. That's where they came from.
There's a prisoner at the very least.
Yeah.
They talked about. Well, no, I wouldn't have heard that. Well, there would be something in the keep.
Let's just take it slow because I don't know. Maybe they have like a one last guard post in there, and Boglach, you're in. I'm not letting you put yourself in harm's way any more tonight.
I think that's fair. I'll
all right.
Burn a couple of spell slots to heal myself up a wee bit. I'll do 2 first level healing words just to take the edge off it, if that's okay with you, DM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll do the same just to bring myself up just a little bit more. For 9 points of healing.
Cool. I heal 18.
Okay. I would also say, just while you're kind of recovering yourselves and getting yourselves together, the large twisted black spear is still lying there as well. That's not gone away.
Is it a javelin?
It appears to be.
Javelin.
It's a black metal spear. It could be thrown, or it can be used two-handed as a weapon to attack, and it clearly seems to have some magical properties around it.
Glut sees a javelin, and we'll just look at Boglach and Zell say, "And you guys want that javelin?"
No, I feel like you proved that you're handier with a javelin than at least I am.
Zell, could you fire that at a bow if you were really strong? Could you do that? Could we do that? If I held your bow, could you fire javelins from it?
Maybe we can practice.
Okay, I'm gonna grab one of my daggers and like hold up the Cambion wing to the wall and like impale the wing into the wall and then say, all right, we can use this as a target.
Wait, Glut, we are on a time crunch here. Why don't we just take it, and then when all this is over, if we've made it, we can have fun practicing with javelins.
I'm gonna go up to Zell and just look a bit like embarrassed how excited they were and like hold up my pinky and be like, pinky promise.
Pinky promise.
All right, if you break that promise, I gotta break your pinky.
You can break both my pinkies if I break that promise.
All right, deal.
The only way I'm breaking that promise is if I'm dead.
I'll break those pinkies then. I'll grab the javelin, seeing no other use for it except the fact that it's a javelin, and add it to my stacks. I'll then draw the compelling argument and head towards like the big church building.
You were quite quick, Glut, to turn on the group here, but did they reveal anything of why they were here, what they were doing?
They said something about them getting a lot of money because of a prisoner they have. That was it before. Yeah, then they were eating a rabbit. So I'm sorry, but I kind of lost it.
It's okay. It was gonna, I imagine, have to come to blows at some point. So
Would have been really good if we'd been able to get them on side, but we didn't really appreciate that they were being led by a Cambion.
I don't know what that is, but I'm sorry.
That thing we just killed. Or Boglach just killed.
I was stupid and reckless, and that almost got you killed twice, Boglach. And
no,
I'm really sorry.
I take responsibility for getting myself in that position too. It's tough in the heat of battle. You don't know.
I don't
to do at times.
I don't think I should be the speaking person. I don't think that's a good idea.
I mean, we survived.
We survived. We've lived to tell the tale.
Yeah, I know. Just I would really appreciate if I don't have to do that again. You guys are much better with talking than what I am. Unless it's religious speeches, actually. In which, if there's any more religious speeches, I think that's where I'll take points.
Where your talents lie.
Yeah. I'm shocked out of all the stupid social interactions we've had. Giving religious speeches is the thing that I'm best at. But yeah, let's go and check out this church, because I don't know, there might be a prisoner. They said they were making money for us, so maybe we can take the money and then.
Is the prisoner maybe the archaeologist who was meant to come up this way?
I don't know, but it said they're worth a lot of money. So I'm gonna start heading towards the church.
Zell's gonna follow
behind.
Sorry.
The castle ruins. Yeah, the key.
To imagine that Glut saw a tower and was like, "There's got to be a church in there."
You know what? Yeah. Actually,
until proven otherwise.
Glut doesn't remember there ever mentioning that it wasn't a church, and is convinced it's a church.
Yeah, Zell's gonna follow close behind, being super wary of the fire as they go.
Do I spot this on the way walking in? Do I spot Zell being particularly wary of fire?
Mm-hmm.
You can. I don't know.
Well, Zell, like, are you trying to hide that, or is it obvious that you are kind of unsettled?
I mean, at this point, she's so emotionally, like, she's probably not even aware that she's being, like, flinchy around it. So she's probably not hiding it very well, although may think that she's hiding it well.
And I think Boglach, you've seen Zell be pretty brave and steady-nerved in a lot of dangerous situations, so it might stand out a little bit to see her slightly more uneasy here.
I think Boglach will just take note of it, but realise that time's pressing on, but just sort of think of it as a next campfire thing to check in on.
So we'll head over to the... Is there, like, a door, or is it open? Is it...
You walk into this sort of inner courtyard, the eastern courtyard. This is a bigger space with this large looming square tower rising up in the centre. There's a doorway leading directly inside. You can see a fire flickering inside. A small fireplace has been set up temporarily within the ruin. The ruin is open-topped, but on the far side of the fire is a tent. Also around the courtyard, outside of the ruined tower, there's an old forge, what appears to have been at one time a forge, now seems to be very derelict and disused, although the mouth of the forge is packed with black ash, as if a lot of burnt wood was recently kind of stuffed into the mouth of the forge. On the opposite side of the courtyard is a well, an old well, and before you lies the tower.
I'm going to draw my sword and enter the tent.
You stride past the fire, sweep open the tent, and as you step in, you see a rather opulent interior, comfortably furnished, red velvet coverings on some of the more elegant chairs that have been set up, a couple of comfortable furs thrown down. It's stark contrast to the way the rest of the bandits were living. And sitting on the far side of the fire, of the tent, still slightly lit by the light of the fire as you push the flap open. You see a young woman with a sort of tangle of curly red hair. She's wearing what appears to be leather armour, although of a style that you've never seen before. Multiple narrow, thin plates of leather armour buckled together with small brass buttons. Again, not something sort of traditional to the region. She glances up as you walk in and goes, "Well, what was all that about?" "Oh, don't think we've met."
Yeah. Were you with those guys?
Bandits?
Yeah, the flying red lady and the angry people.
No. I was a prisoner. I was held here quite against my will. She kind of puts down the glass of red wine she was holding and goes, "But I suppose you're here to rescue me."
El, remembering that Gloot said they didn't want to do the speaking, after hearing Gloot talk, is going to rush in to help out and be like, "Are you the archaeologist?"
"Oh, why, yes, I am. Mara Kelmar, at your service. Pleasure to meet you. Did my father send you?"
No. Who's your father?
Deneth Kelmar.
Oh. I think we met him.
Big fellow dragonborn, doesn't look a thing like me.
Yeah, we remember Dennis
Yeah.
Kelmar. We helped Dennis out of a tricky situation one time.
Yeah, this guy evaporated someone for him.
Yeah,
Oh.
a bit like tonight.
Yeah.
I take it you've brutally butchered all those bandits, eh?
Kind of.
Yeah, you brutally butchered that bottle of wine next to you.
Yeah,
Well, it's
you
a
don't
good
really look like you're-
vintage.
You don't really look like you're being held here against your will.
Well, I'm not allowed to leave, but while I'm here, I might as well make myself comfortable. They were arranging a whole ransom thing. They sent ransom notes to my father and to the university. It was very embarrassing. But while I was here, I was talking to Jaina. Did you meet Jaina?
We did.
She's been around for ages, got lots of all sorts of information. She was telling me about some of the architecture in the upper levels of hell, and what they've done is they've used bones essentially, but some of the bones are of creatures now extinct on our plane. Sorry?
I have to say, you're sounding a bit like a fellow we know called Tam Tamson. We need to kind of get to the point, No, I'm not. I've got nothing. I'm not.
Miss,
Just saying, when the stories start flowing, it reminds me of Tam.
Miss Kilmar, we have to be back in the village before tomorrow night, or everyone dies.
Do you know anything about where this magic sword is?
Magic sword? I'm sorry. Do you want some wine? We can sit down.
No, we need to have a clear head here.
I'll take
very
some wine.
injured from the battle.
She pours out a glass of wine, hands it
And I grab
over
the
to Gloot. Oh,
Yeah.
girl after my own heart. It's Mara, by the way. Mara's fine.
Okay, Mara, I'm gonna level with you. We came to this town nearly 3 days ago, and we accidentally we were looking for the magic sword. We met the storyteller in the village, who I think told you the story of the
Mr. Tamsin.
magic sword. Yes. Lovely
Yes,
man.
lovely fellow.
Yeah, well, he's not really. Anyway, so he told us that it might be in this cave behind a waterfall. So we went to the cave behind the waterfall, and we inadvertently unleashed an old angel who wants to kill everyone in the town.
That's
Our
real?
fellow descendants of
Of course.
All
The
descendants
waterfall.
of Ranach.
That
And
makes
he's-
sense.
That angel is going to do that after the next sunset. So we need to know where the magic sword is, so we can. I mean, I don't even know if I care anymore.
we need the sword to feel. We need to save the village.
We need to
kind
kill
of
that angel.
brought this
We need
onto them.
we
brought
need.
this onto them.
I
Could
don't
we
care
not
about the
just
village.
leave
But
at this point?
we need to kill
We
that
all-
angel.
Boglach, you died twice.
I'm sorry, we can't. Hold on. You're no need to leave anywhere. This is where the action's happening. So you're saying that you unlock this some kind of door and you let out Thazriel, the Angel of Tyr.
So
Azrael.
sorry. Fazriel? How do I spell that?
Thazrael. I can write that down for you.
Please do.
Yeah, one of the most powerful angels serving the god of justice went missing about 1,000 years ago. Apparently failed in their mission. This is all fascinating. I was looking for the sword. I didn't think the angel would be here. You found a prize infinitely more fascinating. A living angel of Tyr. A fallen angel.
We need the sword.
Oh, yes, the sword.
Do you know where it is?
So, my working hypothesis was it's in Dunalkin Castle. Now, I will be honest with you. I've had a good look around here. Jaina was very kind, let me have a good look around the place. No magic sword. In fact, on deeper inspection, I'm fairly confident the castle was built probably about 800 years ago, making it considerably after. There was probably another castle here at the time, but it wasn't this castle. So, no sword here, I'm afraid.
Is there any other place?
I mean, you've checked the waterfall? You have, that's where the angel was.
We did, that was where the angel was. Dell's like
Then-
losing it.
By process of elimination, it's in the town.
Okay, what if I said this ages ago? What if it's the sword? Would it be possible to turn a magic sword to stone and then put that in the statue? It's right there in the middle of the town.
The statue's not that old, is it?
But
The statue is old. It's as far as we're aware, and we've researched this as much as we can. I mean, records are pretty hard to come by on the ground, but the statue is probably older than this castle. It's probably as old as the town itself.
sword!
So why did we come here? We've gone. Boglach just break down a little.
Well, my impression is that you have information, but you're missing some crucial parts. Why are you looking for this sword specifically?
Because it's supposed to protect the valley, so we thought that it would be able to help us. But then obviously the other bits of the story weren't true either. So
I just
maybe
want
the
a
sword
second
isn't.
cool magic sword.
Maybe the angel took a horn from the temple and it blew the horn. And then this dead farmer came to life in front of us. Well, a zombie in front of us.
Mara starts taking notes on a small scroll. Okay, fascinating. Horn of Rennick does actually bring people back from the dead. Excellent. Did the zombie have like dark red eyes, bright white eyes? What were you seeing?
Right.
White.
Radiant.
It was like the
Interesting.
sun was in its head, kind of.
Okay. God, that's fascinating. Okay, so you're looking for the sword. Good move, actually. The sword... Look, we don't know everything, and information is very hard to come by, because the line of research I'm in, it's not very popular with some of the higher-up academics at the university in Dunarden. And Lord knows my father and the rest of the tribe aren't particularly interested either. But, from what I can tell, the sword was Thazriel's originally. The problem is, if you kill an angel, you kill a celestial, you kill a fiend, bad news about the Cambion, by the way, they do come back eventually. You don't kill their mortal soul, you just send their soul back to their original plane. Given enough time, they claw their way back out with a vengeance and come looking for the people who finish them off. In the case of a celestial, given a mission by a god, most likely you kill that celestial, it returns to its plane of origin, and after a little while it comes back and finishes the job. Problem is, you might be gone by then. It could take hundreds of years for the celestial to come back, by which time stories have changed, got muddled up, people aren't aware of what they should be looking out for, and then you have the celestial back on the plane doing its business. So, my hypothesis is that the sword probably has the capacity to actually end Thazriel once and for all. Tyr's angels primarily fight demons, so they were always equipped with weapons that could permanently destroy the soul of any being. No resurrection, no coming back 1,000 years from now, gone. Somehow, in the battle, Thazrael lost their sword. If that sword could be found now and used against Thazrael, there's no reason why it wouldn't permanently destroy the angel.
Fear.
I have a question about what you said just there about the killing things. You said that if you kill a fiend or a celestial, they come back. Do they come back in the place they died? Do they leave back a small part of themselves, or how does that aspect work?
I'm not. This is very theoretical. They would come back on their own plane. They would reform. They would get their own body back there, and then by whatever means was available to them, they would make their way back to, if they desired, back to the plane where they were slain. In most cases, you kill a Cambion, you kill a fiend, they will probably want to come back for revenge eventually. And so they'll find their way through a portal or a rift somewhere, a summoning circle, get back to the material plane. But it'll take a while, I'm sure. And one
Fantastic.
dangerous celestial fiend at a time, you know? If you
What
can
about
get the sword...
spear? What about the spear? Your
What spear?
Cambion friend, I can't remember her name, but she had a spear.
Oh, powerful magical weapon, but it's not destroying any souls. It's imbued with some kind of enchantment for charming its enemies.
Okay. So, we're back to square one. Where's the sword?
There was a statue in the church that looked old that was holding a stone sword that I thought could have been it, but I then got distracted by the horn. Also,
Was there a statue in the church holding the sword? Holding a sword?
There was a statue of Tyr, the god of justice, holding up a sword and a set of scales.
Was there also not a statue in the middle of town as well?
Yes, I've been saying that since yesterday.
In the town's near the graveyard. Guys, I think I know where the sword is.
I
The
think,
graveyard.
and you're 100%
thankfully-
sure.
The undead will have stood up, so maybe one of them's holding the sword.
And you're 100% sure that you've looked everywhere in this castle and it's not here.
I've not found it. That's all I can tell you. I've looked pretty thoroughly. I've looked around the forge, the well. I've poked a lot. I mean, there's not really a huge amount here. There doesn't seem to be a basement or a cellar. The three options, as far as I could tell, it was either in the town, it was in the castle, or it was behind the waterfall. You've checked the waterfall, and I can be fairly confident in saying it's not in the castle. What I will say is this. We don't know how the sword was put away. We know that, according to the stories, the sword was laid to rest or placed with or over the tomb of Rannoch, and that to prove one's worth, that the sword should be brought back to defend the valley, the blood of one of Rannoch's descendants would have to be spilled by the sword, or spilled upon the sword.
Oh my god, guys. I know exactly who we can pick for that.
I feel like
just
the
kidding,
blood of many
'cause I actually-
villagers will have been laid by now.
We don't know that. I'm just saying if it hasn't,
Alright, well, in that
Cam's
case,
right there.
we have just under 24 hours before the angels meant to be coming back, so maybe we rest up here for tonight, head back to the village nice and early, and then just enlist the help of the villagers just to try and scour the town high and low, and just, if not, prepare for
How
our
long's the journey,
final
though?
stand.
How long's the journey back to the village?
In terms of the time you have now, if you rest here tonight, you'll get back as the sun sets.
So, what we should really do is go back now, get everyone to look for the sword, and then rest. While they're all looking.
But if you, so basically I would say you can either stay here tonight and rest, and then you'll get back there like round about the time the sun is setting, or you can go back tonight and not rest and take a level of exhaustion and get some time. But there's by the time you're back down there, it will be well into the later part of the day.
Malcolm, so there's a bunch of scattered wood around this camp, yes?
Yes.
Are there any like spare tools? I know there's a forge there. Is there any like saws and hammers and things like that?
Yeah, because they needed a lot of that stuff to put together all these barricades, so you can find basically all the sort of workman's tools lying around.
I feel like Glut would try and do what Glut does best, which is feats of insane physical prowess. But due to my tool proficiency, I'm proficient in carpenter's tools. Essentially, long game, I want to try and form some sort of like sled that Glut can drag Zale and Boglach back to the city and take maybe 2 points of exhaustion, but would allow Zale and Boglach to rest during the night as Glut would like essentially pack horse them back to town.
That is incredible.
That is ingenious.
You absolutely can head out and start building essentially a large sledge.
I feel like
I'm gonna
as
get
Glut's starting to do that.
I'm gonna get Zell and Boglach. I'm just gonna be like, all right, Zell, I need you to like break down 2 of those barriers. Give me all the 2x4s there. Boglach, I'm gonna need your strength just to hold some of these things here, and I'm just gonna like start constructing this little like make-do sled.
Will you not be able to rest then at all if you do this?
The thing
Well,
is,
you can rest when we get back. You could do a short rest
yeah,
while we speak to the villagers.
The thing is, like, even just like Glut knows that you guys need a long time to rest because of your like magic and stuff. Glut doesn't need much rest to swing a sword. You know, Glut just
I
needs
feel
to be
like Boglach's concern though is that with exhaustion, like sure, first one's just ability checks, second one's speed is half, but then the third one's like attacks at disadvantage, which could really swing you out if you end up getting 3 points. And I don't know what the exhaustion's going to be like. So that's the thing I'm worried about. If that makes sense.
I'll be fine.
That you'll be.
Glut assures you they'll be fine.
Glut's going to trust Glut then if Glut
Yeah.
wants to do this.
This is what you want to do. Are we taking her back?
The sled's
You
big
can-
enough for 2.
You can walk back. There's going to be no bandits.
That makes sense. I'll let you folks press on ahead. Is there anything else you need to know before you take this? I assume sunset tomorrow, Thazrael shows up and starts killing Rannick's people.
Is there anything else you think we need to know that you might know that would be helpful?
Thazrael, Angel, magic sword, kills Angel. Did I mention blood on the sword? Yes. Huh?
Is there any
just
theories
checked.
about where exactly the tomb of Rannoch is? In the town?
It's been-
Any at all? Give us something to go on.
Nothing concrete. It's some kind of old burial site in the town. I'm not sure. We have this is 1,000 years. We don't have a huge amount of information.
But you must have something. One piece of information would be better than nothing.
That you can identify and release the sword using the blood of one of the kin. That's pretty solid. I'm afraid. That's all I've
Fair.
got.
I mean, it's pretty. It's pretty.
What were you going to say, Boglach?
You need the sword to slay a celestial in terms of stop it from returning.
Yes.
You can slay a celestial just through sheer battle as well.
Absolutely. If you take a Celestial down, it will destroy their body. Their soul will need time to return to its plane, reform, and then find its way back.
So even if we don't find the sword, we need to be ready to defeat this angel. If we defeat it in battle, it gives us more time. If we don't, well.
Good luck. I'm sorry I can't be of more assistance. You've kind of done a lot of my work for me, but to be honest, I'm glad that someone else is on this, looking into this matter. We do have... Look, once this is all over, come to the university in Dunarden. It would be good to speak further on this. I assume that you've pieced together something about the Kelfersons and what they were maybe involved with.
Yes.
A little.
It's very hard to get funding for this kind of thing. It feels like a lot of people either don't want to find out the truth or actively working to suppress it. And I don't know who is involved in this and how intentional it is. Obviously, you don't want to find out that you're glorious founding ancestors might have been involved in some kind of demon pact, but research needs to be done. The truth of the history of the Highlands needs to come out. And to be honest, I don't really have any allies or contacts out there in the adventuring world who I can call upon to try and approach this stuff. I've been working on a project, and to be honest, at this point, you've laid your thing on the table, so I'm going to lay mine. I've been looking for a sword, a different sword. The High King had a claymore, renowned, one of the first star steel claymores forged, imbued with power unlike any other. I've been trying to find it, and I believe I've gathered locations, potential locations where the sword or fragments of the sword can be recovered. Once this is all over, seek me out, and with your help, I think we might be able to do something quite important.
Sounds good. Is
We will.
one of the
We will be
locations the
doing
Orkney Islands, or are we just avoiding them again?
Funny you should say that. There is one of the locations in the Orkney Islands that is actually not that far from where the High King died. So it's high on my list.
We
Perfect.
will come to see you at your university in Dunarden if we make it through this.
Excellent. Professor Mara Kalmar at the university. It will be a pleasure. In the meantime, I might get out of town. I might, unless you particularly need my assistance, I might head to the university.
Go. Get out of here.
Good luck with whatever is coming tomorrow. If you survive, I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you. Zel's just going to give a knowing look to Boglach as they leave.
She
Well,
ducks
actually-
out of the tent. Oh,
Like,
whoa!
have her at the tent. I'm like, well, actually, we could use all hands on deck for helping Luke make the sleigh. So you could help us with that. Then you could go, because you've got unlimited time. We have
That is true.
three
If
hands
you're
make light work.
My pleasure. I made this armor myself. I'm relatively handy with these sort of things. And she kneels down next to Gloot, who I imagine is already wrestling away with some wood and some tools, and goes, "Where do you need me? I'm yours to command."
Just, you ever built a sled before?
I've not built a sled, but there's a first time for everything.
Yeah, okay, so more unskilled labor, that's fine. Just keep gathering planks of wood and bring them over here. Shorter ones would be preferable for what I'm needing right now.
Mara
Tales
leaps
Arcane.
into action and begins gathering pieces of wood. The night is quite far advanced, and the work continues. Dark clouds looming overhead. But before long, you're able to prepare a rudimentary sled that you can use to cart about 2 people back to town. And as you prepare for the return journey with less than 24 hours ahead, you have 1 day left, a night and a bit of a day before the sun sets and the angels' work begins. We'll end our session there. Thank you for a wonderful session. Thank you for all surviving that combat encounter. Thank you to Nerdies Maximus for the music and to Jessica Bowen for the art. We'll see you next time.